very not money, I would say money conscientious, but also doing the right thing and how to invest. And we've talked so many different times about, the future and trying to, how to get around and learn how the money works per se. Right. But the key point I wanted to pull out that I heard from you is that it starts with the young individuals, because that's where the brain, I want to call the positive brainwashing, right? The programming happens.
Right.
There's a book that I just read earlier this. Yes. There's a book I read earlier this year. It was The Millionaire Mindset. And he, Ecker in there, the Dr. Ecker, he talks about rewiring or reprogramming what you've learned. Because a lot of times us in the middle class, working class, right? Some of us aren't even in the middle class. We're in the middle working class.
Right.
And it starts with the reprogramming, because we programmed the poor mindset. And if we want to change anything in the future, we have to start with the kids. We have to start young.
Yep.
Because the simple terms of, hey, I can't afford that, or no, you can't have that because I can't afford it, starts to program our kids that, you can't afford it. You don't have the right to have that money per se.
Right.
We overlook it because it's just, we know we don't have the money per se, but it's more changing it to, how can we afford it? No, you don't deserve it right now, but how can you afford it? And start getting our kids how to get there.
So get there. Exactly.
That was big in there. But I'll tell you a little bit about my background, I guess. So yes, my name's Daniel. I graduated high school in the region, Griffith High School, graduated Purdue University, Calumet, in the region as well, with a mechanical engineering degree. I knew that I was going to go to college and graduate just because my parents didn't, right? And that's all they talked about, instilled me to go to school. My dad never finished high school, even high school. My mom got her GED. So all they knew was to hustle, how to work.
Right.
So I guess work ethic was the only thing that they really were able to pass on. They didn't really pass on any wealth. If anything, there's debt. So I didn't really understand the rules of the money game. I just knew how to grind, right? I knew how to work hard. And if I was working 50, 60 hours a week doing something or trying to sell something, and I mean, legally selling stuff like garage selling,
Sir, you're not being recorded for the cops at all. No.
You work for the city. I plead the fifth. No. But no, just working hard is what I knew. And I went to college, went for engineering, not necessarily because I had a passion for it, but it was more so I knew it was going to pay. Right. So it was always money driven. It wasn't until after I graduated, I got the debt, and then I bought the house. I say I bought the house, but I bought it with the intention of knowing later down the road it was going to be a rental property. Just because it was something in college. I just saw so many great, dreamers around me. Right. I don't know if you remember at Purdue, what was it? The concourse where everyone just kind of hung out. It was like
the student union, Oh yeah, that was my stomping grounds. That's all I knew.
I call it the Dream Center because we talked so many different groups of people, diverse groups of people, just dreamed in that area. And it was something down there. I was like, man, do I really want to be an engineer for the rest of my life? And it just started really getting me thinking. But I knew that I was already going to have to finish my degree. So did that. Graduated, got a job with a Fortune 500 company, Sherwin-Williams. Loved the company. It was a great company. But I realized that the system of going to work for 20, 30 years was just not the system anymore. And as I was getting into the workforce, I'm like, this is a dying system. Pensions are going away. I already realized this. Like I was seeing these things. I'm like, what my parents told me money was and how it worked and how you're supposed to save, it just wasn't there anymore. And things were changing. And I didn't really understand why. So me and my wife, accumulated the student loan debt. We bought a house. We had house debt. We had cars, a brand new car, right? And we just had all this debt. And then, hey, you want to fix the house. So now you got credit card debt, right? And it just keeps on going. We're making good money.
Yeah.
My wife's an accountant. So, you know,
Right.
we were making decent money. We had good degrees,
Right.
but just enough. And that's really what just kind of pushed us over the edge when we had an opportunity to move down here to Atlanta, Georgia. On my way down here, I was stressing out because even though I was coming down here, I was going to have, you know, a great paying job. I was to my eyeballs in debt. Now, I know some of it was good debt, right? I'm getting an ROI on my degree. Yes, I know. I bought a property that we now have a rental. And I know it's good debt, but it's still stressful, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't know who to look to. I didn't know who to ask for help. I couldn't ask my dad. I couldn't ask my mom because they didn't understand. So I started YouTubing, right? As much as all of us, we hop on Google or YouTube because that's our university.
That's the way. That is the way now.
And I found a book. It was Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki, and I listened to the audible book all the way from driving because I first moved all my stuff down to Atlanta for the first month for my job when I got it down here. And I listened to the audio all the way down and I finished the book. And I was like, wow. I was like, this is something that just really blew my mind. Have you read that book before?
No. Here's the thing. It's not that I can't read. I just don't. I don't read a lot. I know it's terrible. It is terrible, and you probably would never notice the way that I speak and everything. But I do not read. The only thing that I read is like manga, and I don't even read manga like that. It's only one manga that I actually read, and that's My Hero Academia. That's it.
Nothing's wrong with manga because they got some really controversial and some real deep stuff in those novels. I'll call them novels, but in those books, my brothers, well, I won't say just my brother. When my brother started reading them, I was listening to, or watched them and read them as well. So
no, I don't. I did get that book referenced to me by my boss. I want to say
it's an easy read. I would recommend anyone listening or even yourself check it out. Just it talks about this guy named Robert Kiyosaki. He grew up in Hawaii, and he had two perspectives growing up. He had the rich dad and he had the poor dad. Now, the poor dad was actually his dad, right? But his dad was he had multiple degrees. He went to school, college, got a master's, I think his PhD. He was the head of he was on the board of directors for education for the state of Hawaii. Like he had all these accolades, right? He had the house.
Right.
He had all the,
he had all the good stuff.
He had all the letters behind his name, right?
Right.
So the rich dad though was his best friend's dad, who was a business owner. And when they first got started, like that same best friend's dad that he had became one of the wealthiest individuals of Hawaii because he invested in real estate and businesses. So he taught Robert Kiyosaki the concept of how to be an entrepreneur, how to be a business owner, and what that actually meant, and what America's American dream, true American dream, was about. It wasn't about giving 20, 30 years of your life to a pension, to a company, and then getting a pension. It was owning something. It was, we used to have barber shops. You were the owner. You had corner shops. You were the owner. You had the repair shops. You were the owner.
The bodegas. You were the owner.
Exactly. Because our communities, and that's where it kind of circling back is our communities. We own stuff, right?
Right.
Ownerships. That's what America was truly built on. And I was like, wow. So I never really understood what an entrepreneur was or a business owner was. And they just got me thinking. And so that's why me and my wife, we started reading and looking into different things. And then we ended up falling into, I say we fall into, but PHP kind of found us because we were looking for how money worked. And for those who don't know, PHP Agency is a financial service marketing firm and in the life insurance industry. And we teach families and people how to build generational wealth. So kind of what we're talking about here through leveraging life insurance. different life insurance products, not just the old life insurance you think about when you think of, something that happens when you pass away, which is still a great concept, but
Right,
there's
right,
new types where you can leverage while you're still alive. And
right.
that's what the wealthy do. So
It's like, hey, you hit the jackpot, but you're dead. Hey, you can hit the jackpot, you're alive, and then you're dead.
yeah,
So
exactly.
meanwhile,
But
you're over there sopping up the tears with $100 bill. He was too young.
yeah, we're like, man, we're celebrating his life, but pass the caviar, please.
Man, I love you, mama. Hey, was my Xbox at one S coming in yet?
Right. But we laugh about it, but that's the thing, is that wealthy families, and when I say wealthy families, generally, right, speaking, Caucasian based families, I know this, we're recording everything, but I'm going to tell it how it is that the financial industry is made up of majority of white males in their mid age, I would say late 50s and early 60s. Those are the stats.
Yep,
And
that is factuals.
and so when you think about that systematically, you're kind of like thinking, you start to wonder why our communities aren't privy to this information. Is because those individuals cannot relate to our communities. So how can they actually help our communities in that way? Not saying all,
Exactly.
I'm talking about majority.
Right.
So when I thought about it that way, I'm like, wow, I never knew about that. So now, as what part of our crusade and what me and my wife do, is we're here to build legacies. And because we can relate to it, I'm Latino, Native American. Every minority you could think of is on my family tree. And my wife is half black, half white. So we can relate to anyone for the most part.
Exactly, especially the Native American part, because man, this is all your land. You know what I'm saying? Like the
Trying to
whole
get it back.
U.S. is part. Exactly. So you definitely in for the long haul in the fight.
Right. So that's just a little bit of the mission and the crusade, and just kind of talking about it and going back to generational wealth. It's got to start with education and literacy.
Right. Right.
And that's why we got connected to where we're at. I still do engineering stuff. I'm still engineering consultant. It's just understanding that I'm not labeled as an engineer, right? I'm not just that. I'd rather be labeled as a legacy builder who has an engineering degree, who sells life insurance, who
there it
is
is.
building brokerages and giving opportunities to individuals. That's who I want to be known as.
There it is.
Because, I come from a broken family. My parents were divorced. So, and one of the biggest things, the reason why they were divorced was financial stress. And when you think about it, it's like, was it their fault? No. A lot of our communities, it's not their fault. It's just we are ignorant to the information. We don't know. And when you try to go into our communities and try to show, we've been hurt and scammed so much that our eyes aren't open. We have blinders on, and all we see is the hourly pay. Like so many people have said, like, I just want $15-$20 an hour. I just want hour. I'm like, why sell yourself short?
Right. And see, to piggyback off of all of that, I feel like it's a mix of ignorance, but at the same time, I feel like it's we do what we got to do type of mentality. You know what I'm saying? Like for example, with your family, it's not their fault. It's not, it's a matter of like, partially they didn't know any better. And then they had to do what they had to do in order to provide for you. You know what I'm saying? Like for you and like any other siblings, if you had any, you know what I'm saying? Like they had to do what they were the ones that had to bust home day in and day out to make sure that you had a Christmas present, or make sure, hey, here's Optimus Prime with all his fixing. Don't lose that, because if you do, I'm not buying another one. You know what I'm saying? They had to make sure that they had to grind, and that's where like you get so caught up in the grind of the hustle that you forget, like, man, I've been doing this for this many years and I don't really have much to show for it. I mean, my kid's happy, and even then, is he really happy? And that's the cycle that you kind of got to break. When I look at my mom, I have like so many traits of my mother and like everybody else in my immediate family. It's ridiculous. And being a hustler is one of them. But see, I don't have the hustle switch on 24/7 because I'm the type of person that just like, I want to get the job done. I want to get it right. But at the same time, if these factors come in and say, hey, this isn't happening. Oh, well, hey, I tried, I'm sorry, Jesus, I tried. You know what I'm saying? So like the hustle switch doesn't stay on for me. And I know that's a flaw, but at the same time, when it's on, it's on. Cause like if I have a job to do, it's gonna get done one way or another. You better move out the way. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So like with that, like my mom has always hustled. She's hustled ever since I was a baby. As far as I can remember, she's always been a hustler. Because I come from not a broken family. My mom and my dad split way before I was born, probably. Then it was my stepdad that didn't work out, so she moved in with my family, and she didn't graduate college. She had a high school degree. She didn't graduate college. I am the maybe second or third or fourth, maybe like fourth generation in my family to have a college degree. Maybe, I'm not sure. I know my uncle graduated college. He went to Purdue also. Chad
That's
Hunter.
awesome. Congratulations,
Yeah,
man.
and then oh yeah, he's I was there when he graduated. It was hot as hell, and I just wanted a grape soda.
Why are we out here?
Why are we out here? Well, look, Ryan, it's your Uncle Chad.
He
Oh,
just got
okay,
a
cool.
paper.
Hey, oh, okay, cool. Hey, is my soda here yet? Cause man, this heat, I'm dying over here. But like looking down, I was like, oh, that's what he was doing. So like being like going to the same school as him and learning what I've learned, and just picking up that along the way is like it's a shock, because like you could never look down the road and be like, I'm going to this school where my uncle went, and I'm going to get my degree in a different stage, different setting, but I'm still getting my degree. You know what I'm saying? So like that hits home. And doing it for the family, the pride of my family, you know, that's always something that I look back for, and I pride myself in doing that. But it all comes back to hustle. I had to hustle those 6 years. Cause,
Right.
cause, cause that game room is the devil. I don't care what no one says. That game room is Satan.
I know when
But
the whole pool room, man. I swear, like you could lose hours in there playing pool and
Smash
ping
Bros. And
pong, and Smash
uh,
Bros. I
and
stayed
if it
away.
wasn't
I
Smash
walked around
Bros,
the SUL building.
if it was Smash Bros, don't go outside, because if you are a card game head, they had Yu-Gi-Oh, they had Magic, they had Uno, Cards Against Humanity. Nowhere was safe. You could not go down. If you were a nerd, you could not go down there and hope that you don't just spend just 5 minutes in that area without getting anything done. Um, but back to the, I know you touched on it starts with the kids. It was something that my mom and I believe my grandmother would always say to me. I believe it's probably a Bible verse too. I'm not sure. Charity begins at home and starts and spreads abroad. It's whatever you instill into your children, they go out and that spreads like the coronavirus. Only you don't die. you know,
Right,
it
right.
spreads in a positive direction of what your children are a direct reflection of who you are as a human being and what you've learned from your parents and their parents as well. It's a constant like pendulum. And when you instill the generational wealth idea into your children and you push them out into the community and pray to God that they don't get pulled over or shot or whatever, because this is the world we live in. um that is what that is what I believe we as a minority community should look for, especially now with, as you said, middle-aged white folks being in the upper echelon of when it comes to wealth. And you don't see too often a minority that's a millionaire. It's few and far between. And I feel like the more that we make that push with the new generation coming up, we'll have that up there in no time. Granted,
Right.
some of us might be too old and senile to understand it. Hey, you made $1 million, but they'll be there. But you
Right.
know, they'll do that, and we'll be the ones. We'll be the ones to have sat there and looked and be like, we did this. At least I hope. That's the theory. That's the positive outlook of it all.
Right.
And that's the whole. And that's why I'm glad I pulled you here, because I know that you have some resources that you can dump onto us and to whoever else listens. You know, I could take like PHP agency and like the link to the website to put into the video description, or hey, what was that guy's name again? Or like, you know, like the networking. This is the small seed, and this is how it's growing for
Absolutely.
whoever else needs it. You know what I'm saying? And they, you know, white, black, or whatever. We don't. It's not a discriminatory type of deal. It's like, no, you're white, you can't have this. We want
It's
everybody
information.
to succeed. Yeah, it's information. Intel wins wars, a wise man once said. You know,
Absolutely.
and that's the whole
Art of
premise
war right
behind
there.
this. Exactly, that's the whole premise behind it. And it warms my heart, and it really puts me in an exciting mood when there are like-minded individuals that come together and discuss this, even though they're not here right now. Looking at you, Dante. um, it's this is a good video to be put in archives, so that way they can look back on this and be like, what did he say again? And then it goes forward like, hey man, I know you're trying to get up there financially. Take this video with you. Matter of fact, I know somebody that could possibly help you. And then they'll tell two friends, and then it just keeps going.
Ball effect. And it's awesome that you're doing that too, because that's exactly what me and my wife started doing with our series of what are they doing, right? It's because when you look at someone who's successful, like who's the first person when you think of monetary success, who are like the first 3 or 5 people you think of off the top of your head
That I know, or just in general?
that you know of, not that you know personally, but just that you know of? Sorry to put you on the
I
spot.
had to, yeah, you probably, if I had to guess, there's a couple of
One or two.
there's a council person that I know of, Dwayne Rancifer. He owns he owns a lot of like T-Mobile business, T-Mobile stores, R&R Jerk, he's the owner of that too. He makes a lot of money, and I just recently found this out by being on the ride along for ECTV, which you will see in a couple of days once it's done
Okay.
editing. And that him, Mayor Anthony Copeland, he he's he's, I won't say he's like well off, but you know, he knows he's well paid, and you know, he knows how to, that man knows how to pinch a penny, let me tell you.
He knows how to hold on to it.
Yeah, he knows how to make a dollar holler, in his words. Jesus Christ, I can't believe I used that.
Do you think you ever
So,
could be on that level of those individuals?
oh, absolutely, absolutely. Um, and really, it comes down to what industry you look into as well. That's why I decided to become a game designer, or at least go to school for game designing. Even though before I got in there, they got rid of the option to you know, to do it, which sucks.
Right.
Thank you, Michael Roller.
So,
But none.
what are those nuggets? Or I refer to the golden eggs as nuggets, but the nuggets or the tips that can get you, or the breadcrumbs that can get you to those individuals that you talked about. Like, can you clearly see them, or can you, or are they kind of blurry to you right now? You just see the end
I
goal.
can. I see. I always, my brain never stops. Like, it's a wonder why I haven't gone insane. My brain never stops thinking. Um, I can think several thousand steps ahead without even just thinking about, okay, how do I even get to step one? And it's
Right.
just how I've always been. I've always looked at the bigger picture. I've always had the positive outlook of, this is where I want to be, and this is what I want to. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. This is what how I want to raise my kids, so on and so forth.
See,
All while I'm
that,
still
that's
working.
rare. I would say that's rare, because that the optimistic thinking that you have, or that I would say that progressive optimistic thinking, because you're always
Mm-hmm.
thinking ahead but positively, is
Mm-hmm.
rare, because not so many people have that. And that's exactly why we did What Are They Doing? Because with those people who are successful, really successful, right? And those are pretty decent people, and that in your circles, circles and
Mm-hmm.
circles. But if you start thinking about
Mm-hmm.
people like Oprah Winfrey, or the late Kobe Bryant, right? These individuals
God
who are
rest his
like,
soul.
man, like how can you get there, right? But then we
Mm-hmm.
forget about the people who are in the in between steps, like the
Mm-hmm.
console individuals, the console members that you talked about. They are
Mm-hmm.
not the esteem, the top, but they're in the middle, and they're kind of a little bit closer,
Right.
knowing how
Right.
to break down where they're at and where they're going. And those are the people that we want to connect with, because you realize how many people are in your circle that are like that, and you're like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I need
Yeah.
to know what you know.
Yep. And it's really, really, it's a blessing and a curse why I do what I do for my job, even though it's part time and only pays 14 an hour, and everybody just anyway. No. It's a gift and a curse, but it's more so a gift because it gives me it, it puts me close to people that I wouldn't normally be close to.
Yeah.
Uh, if I wasn't in that job that I'm in right now. Like
Right.
if I wasn't working where I was working, I wouldn't be real like extremely close to the police chief and the deputy chief and the detective. Um and especially I wouldn't even know where they live. The police chief in my city literally lives 2 streets away from me. Deputy chief lives a street like I live on a Twanaka with Hidalgo. You literally just go like straight down. He's right there on the corner. I wouldn't have known that if I didn't have the job that I have now.
Right.
And law with the council people, uh one of the attorneys for the current administration of East Chicago, he drives a Tesla. I want to get to know this man because I want a Tesla. And it really, as far as like golden seeds of like steps as concerned, me being a devout Christian, the first seed, which will always be the first seed, is prayer. Um
Right.
Prayer and manifestation, because I believe through God all things are possible. And that's just how it was instilled into me. It was beaten into me as a kid, metaphorically and physically. Going to
Right.
church, boy. So it was that, and the prayer and manifestation and meditation and stuff like that. Just like constantly just looking at the test. Like today, when I finished the council meeting, or no, like middle council meeting, I had to go and get like I wanted to try and get the footage, which I talked to you about, which I couldn't because it was blocked off because of that damn truck. Um, Joe Allegretti, who is I believe he's an attorney, part of the corporate council, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. He drives a black Tesla. When I tell you this man was pulling off, and the sun just shining, glistening off of it, I'm just like, I want it. And I just like, nice car. He's like, thank you. And he just wheeled
I
off. I'm
know.
like, I'm just looking like, soon, soon. So yeah, between like it's prayer, and then it's the positive mindset, because growing up, uh this is kind of funny. Growing up, I used to play a lot of games. I still do. One of the games I played and began like doing research off of, because it was like it did show a narrative of like actual real history. Samurai Warriors. Samurai Warriors is what got me into researching a lot of like feudal Japan era type of stuff. uh one of the warriors that you pick, and it was one of those beat 'em ups where you're like, oh, you gotta beat up this many 100 soldiers or whatever. And one of the feudal lords, his name was Hideyoshi Toyotomi. And he in the game, one of like his story mode, he said this exact quote that I have held on to this ever since I heard it when I was a teenager. He said, I want to create a world where everyone can be happy. And researching that, like hearing that resonated with me, because I do like to see my friends and my family happy and on one accord. I know I can't make the world happy because I'm not God. I can't do that. I don't have the Infinity Stones. I'm not Thanos.
You can't snap.
But exactly. But I can make my world happy. And
Right.
that's the goal. That was the biggest dream that I've ever held on to. That is the biggest dream that keeps me going on this day forward, because I want to eventually wake up, look to my wife, then look to my kids, then look at my job, my career, and then turn around and look at whatever family I have left, because I'm pretty sure they ain't all gonna be around when I get there. And I want to just look at that and say, this is the empire that I built. And that in itself has been the driving force behind me for years. Even the 6 years I spent at Purdue, the 4 years in high school, all that to now. And
Mind if I
it's
ask you
I've
something
kept
though?
that. Yes.
Well, so right there, the empire sounds like generational. I guess you call it wealth, but wealth doesn't have to be monetary, right? It could be whatever of value you have. What does that look like for you? What is that empire or that wealth? You know, you mentioned physical individuals there, but with them sitting there and realizing what your empire is, what is that legacy? I guess you could say for you, if you were.
That is that is me and my family in a decent looking house. I don't really want to mention, because that's too many damn steps that I got to traverse just to find a bathroom. You know, by that time
Yeah.
I'm being peed myself. I can't do it. Uh, that's a lot. That's a lot of acres that you got to manage. Like a decent house, like in a nice neighborhood. And I was telling my mom this once upon a time when we were like, you know, how Highland has those, or like you go down like Calumet, and it's like one of those like really like hoity-toity like neighborhoods with all those like nice looking houses. The stuff that you see like normal white people that would live in. I told my mom,
Muncie, Indiana.
yeah, I told my mom as we were driving past one day, I'm like, I'm gonna live in one of these neighborhoods, and I'm gonna be that black guy. I'm gonna be the one throwing parties. I'm gonna be the one having the older Karens be like, "Are you sure you're supposed to be here?" Yes, Mrs. Randolph, I'm sure.
Trying to be a
There was a
troublemaker.
video. Yeah, there was a video of this guy that actually got pulled over by the police because he was driving in that neighborhood and he had the deed to one of the houses. And the guy said, "Are you sure you're supposed to be here? Because we're getting calls of like, you know, standard. Oh, we're
Suspicious
getting calls of
activity.
suspicious activity." Yeah. And the guy's like, "One second, let me get the deed to the house." They pull up to the house. He's like, "You can follow me." Pulls up to the house, gets in the car, looks to dude recording it. I'm about to flex on this man. Drives up, pulls the deed out, bam, right there. I want to be that guy. Just to show if there's even any more racist white folks out there that believe in police brutality, that drive that type of negative narrative into the life of, you know, into this universe. I want to be part of that driving force that says, no,
Right.
I live here. This is my house. I earned this. This is my family. Either get used to it or I don't really care. That's what I see. So I see myself in that kind of neighborhood or area. Um, I see my mom being getting whatever she can possibly get her hands on at whatever age she'll be, because growing up, I'm a huge mama's boy. I am an only child and I am spoiled. I don't care. But everybody in my immediate family worked their butts off to make sure that I was good. You know, growing up, my mom would take me to school, and if not my mom, then my grandmother, and if not my grandmother, my uncles, or if not my uncles, my aunt who passed away back here, who was a school teacher. Somebody had my back in my family. And now that I'm working, I like before then I swore up and down because I would see my mom come home to the brink of tears almost sometimes because of how hard her job was, or how sometimes people would treat her. And it was a lot. My mom would get disrespected at some of the jobs that she's worked. And it would frustrate me because there, you know, obviously being a kid, there's nothing I could do. But I swore to myself, I'd be like, Ryan, when we get there, we're gonna make sure that our mother is taken care of. Not just our mother, the rest of the family that lives in this house right now is on the up and up for the most part. And that's where I'm at right now. That's where I'm going right now with where I'm working right now. And that's
You know what I
where
would put that
I
on?
see it. What?
You know what word I would use? It sounds like you want to be surrounded by generational curses that you broke. That's a very similar driver, is like those things that they told you couldn't do, or those things you couldn't have, or those moments where you were disrespected, or it's just something that just kind of ticked you off.
That's exactly it. That's exactly
I
it.
want all those things around me, but at that point where now you're on top, to where those don't affect. Like I can relate personally, but not personally, to the disrespect. When you talked about your moms, like I have a brother, we're not related, but we're brothers regardless, because we grew up middle school, high school.
I have those two.
We hated each other in middle school. That's how close we were. Like we almost threw each other out the window at a mutual friend's birthday party.
How does this happen?
At a hotel party in middle school. That's how much we hated each other. And then we became best of friends and brothers, and we were best men at each other's weddings. But his mom was one of the nicest ladies ever, and she came from Mexico, and she worked hard. She was the custodians at our middle school, high school. And she was disrespected a few times. We saw it, but I remember the stories he would tell me that, like, there were some kids that were real nice, but then there's just kids and teachers that were just crap. Like, saw her as the cleaning lady and nothing more, right? And we've talked so many different times how, like, we want to be so much on top that we could go back to that store or to that school and just flex. People aren't going to be there, but still, just to be like, get our name placard on the wall because we're donors, and just be like, that my mom, and at times I'll call her mom too, just because we were that close. She used to clean this school, right? She used to wipe down these lockers, and now I'm supporting one of those classes, one of those AP classes, just so you, like, breaking those generational curses, because like you said, in these communities, like you drive down, like you said, Highland, right? And you get to see these families and everything else, and it's, and you can put a term on it, and you just say these are white neighborhoods and everything, even though they're integrated and you got other
right.
But we know the history of certain towns, and when you go through it and you're like, this is a norm from them, and the fact that me and you, I mean, you're what, 28, 26,
29.
Oh,
Thank you. Thank you.
Sorry, I'm gonna be 28 in 10 days. So
I'm an old man.
We're old men. But the fact that we can still say, hey, that's a white neighborhood, or hey, that's a black neighborhood, or hey, that's a Latino neighborhood. That segregation in some aspects, systematically or not, is not gone.
Nope.
Right.
At all.
And we get to the point where it's I'd rather see, hey, that's the poor neighborhood and that's the rich neighborhood, and they all looks different colors, right? Because then now it's just choices. It's just, hey, you made a bad choice, because
exactly
system today is built so that you can make good choices, but then there's systematic blocks that stand in the way because it's been there for so long, and we're trying to
they scan you
down.
Exactly. They scan you and they judge you on your color. It's like, no, you're making this choice because you're black. You're making this choice because you're Latino. You're making this choice because you're Middle Eastern or Islamic or a Christian or whatever. We're going to make these choices for you. And it's like, we're not doing this anymore. Exactly. And that's where that's the fight that we all should be working on one accord together to win, because there's no point, as Dr. Kendrick said from East Chicago Central. He also did this as a musical. He said, crabs on the bucket, ants on the hill. these crabs are going to drag you down. What is the point of being a crab when you can be an ant and work together with all the other ants and build and work together? That's what we need to do. That's where we need to see more of. And that's where I'm coming in, because like I know I can't change, I can't rally people up on my flag to save my life. I can barely even get people to come with me to the movies, and then they'd be mad at me when I go see my damn self. It's like, you didn't tell nobody. You never show up. You know what I'm saying? So like I know I can't rally everybody, but I know I can at least rally the people that have stuck with me since day one. You mentioned brothers. I had two real good brothers. Terrell Wilson. I don't know if you heard of him. You might have. And Daryl Payne. I know you probably heard of him.
Yeah, I know Daryl.
Daryl's my little brother. Daryl's been my little brother since I could remember back in college when he first got there. As loud
Honestly,
as he
I thought
was.
you guys were brothers. I remember you guys being close. I thought you guys hung out so much. I thought you guys were brothers.
Nope, that's just the brotherly bond we had. I gave this man half my pizza once when I was there, and from that point forward, it kind of just stuck. But I remember him coming in and him being loud, and I remember I'm like, dang, why is this man so loud? And then it hit me. It's like God was like, stupid, that's you when you got here. Oh, okay. So from that day forward, we clicked, we vibed, and then I took him like kind of under my wing, because that's what I do. As an old man, I kind of like take people under my wing that are like under me. I'm like, listen, kid, this is how this works. You know what I'm saying? And people just looking like, bro, I'm like 17 minutes. I'm like, shut up, don't disrespect your elders. and I do that as like to let them know, like, look, this is just how the world works. But I want you to know it doesn't have to be that way. You have your own destination. This is the hope that I want to give into you that I have for the rest of the world along with me. And I want to impart this into you. And to go back to what I was originally saying, that's what I want to do. Like with Daryl, with Terrell, with my other brothers, Jalen, Marcus, Domo, Ian, all of them. I want to bring them with me in this empire, because they've shown that they've been this loyal to me this entire time. And it's not a matter of, oh, you didn't come to my birthday party, you didn't give me this amount of money back when I asked for it. Money won't be here when you die. You know what I'm saying? Money will be there when you die. You can't take it with you when you pass on to the next life.
It's a tool. You know what I'm saying? Like a hammer.
It's a tool. It's a pretty damn good tool.
It's a nice tool, but
yeah.
It's what it is. It's a tool, and we need to stop
exactly.
thinking about tools. What can we do? What did you build with that tool? What legacy are you leaving behind?
Exactly.
What generational curse did you break with that tool, right? Mm-hmm. So that is the big thing. It's funny you say you can't rally. Like, I have a hard time rallying people too. Like, I remember I used to be known as the party guy. Like, I told you how I was a fraternity, but even before that, when I was in high school, I was a party guy. I had a list of contacts, and I call them up. We'll have a minimum 20, 30, 40, 50 people at the house for a party. But like, we could have parties. And my dad was the coolest, especially after the divorce. My dad, he was a cool dad. We could hang out at his house. And I know you're recording this, so I'm not telling you the address, name, or anything else. But anyway, we would hang out at his house because he wanted us to be safe, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So I was able to get people to a party. But when I started talking about building legacies and building a business and trying to, like, hey, this is how money works, like, in one way, right? This is a way you can use this tool. People disappear. Like, they're not drinking, they're not having a good time partying and, doing the bad stuff.
Right.
There. I'm like,
exactly.
Why? And I don't know if it's because we're scared or I don't know what it is, but it's crazy. Like, when you said that, it just kind of sparked that in my head. I was like, man.
The thing with people is, and this is another quote, doubt can be the greatest enemy of any single person. If you have doubt, you have fear. And if you're not strong-willed enough to tame and fight it, you won't get anywhere. Not saying that everybody lacks strong will or nothing, but it takes certain mindset for people to have in order for them to get what you put down back then and there. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Too many people need to
Because
see
that,
it already.
yeah,
They didn't need
yeah.
to see it to believe it, and it's like that's
You
why we
know
kicked
what?
out the Garden of Eden.
Exactly. Aside from Eve eating that damn apple, Eve, you raggedy. No, so when people um people the people sometimes fear what they don't understand and eliminate what they fear. And so when
Right.
you say stuff like that, they dismiss it. Like, what are you talking about? Have another Modelo. You know, you're not you're not drunk enough for this. You know what I'm
Or
saying?
you're
Like,
too drunk.
or you're too drunk. Go home. You're drunk. You know what I'm saying? So like when that stuff like that comes up, like, man, we trying to party, man. If you don't put the book up and get to Millie rocking out here, you know. So like that's the type of thing and that's not to mean that they're bad people. It's just that they
Oh
haven't
yeah.
properly awakened to that mindset yet. You
Or
have
the
to.
programming. The
They
programming is
haven't
there.
exactly.
It's a poor mindset programming, and
Mm-hmm.
we need to stop thinking that if I say you have a poor mindset programming, then I'm cursing at you. Because anytime we talk about
Right.
financials or anything,
Right.
we get shameful. And
Right. We're like, you think you better than me out here?
yeah,
You think yeah.
I'm like, you
And
asked me
that's
for
not the case.
$20 last week. What are you talking about?
Like,
I'm
yeah,
like,
man,
I'm trying
pay
to
up,
help you
fool.
out.
What you right? It's like I'm trying to help you, so I ain't gotta go broke out of my pocket out here, man. I ain't trying
Eh,
to.
don't ask me for money. I'll teach you how to make some money. Come on, let's
Yeah,
go do
exactly.
something.
Take that $20 that I gave you and flip that or something. Give
They're
me
like,
that.
no,
God dang
no,
it.
no. Let's just borrow some.
Exactly. Right. Hey, man, let me get $1. Get your ass out of here. But yeah, like when it's just that the spark plug isn't in the right spot for them to awaken that type of mindset. But it's never too late. And that's the thing.
Right.
That's another thing that gets to them. They think like, what if I don't get there in time by the time I'm 30? It's something, and it's weird. Something with like people turning 30 that just scares the shit
Yeah,
out of
like
them. I don't.
it's not the 1800s, y'all. I'm
And
like,
it's like you're not what
30,
you
you
turn
got a good
30.
60, 70 years late
Exactly.
left. I'm
You
like,
think when you turn 30 you're gonna spontaneously combust or some shit? You think like I'm finna be 30 this year and I don't even think I can do nothing because of this damn virus. So how you think I feel? There's like the meme where people born in the 90s, that dust devil that's coming towards that white guy, like people in the 90s, the 30s, oh, here it comes. Like people think like God's gonna kill you, and like death is coming for you, or you gonna disappear because of the Thanos snap or
honestly,
something if you turn 30.
once we get older, I know, like when we talk about millennials and everything else, they're like, man, we went through some stuff. Like, how many times the world is supposed to end and almost end
Yeah.
again?
Yeah. Yeah, because this one right here is looking pretty real.
I'm like,
So,
I saw on Netflix the Contagion came on, and I started watching
oh
that, and I
man,
was like, wait, did they just say the coronavirus? Did they just say?
oh Jesus.
Oh my gosh! I was like, they said, and they said it came from an Asian market. I'm like, oh my goodness! I'm like, we knew about this 10 years ago.
Why didn't we stop it? Oh, I know why. Because we have Trump in office. Okay, yeah, it makes sense. Anyway, but like, yeah, like there's something with turning 30 that scares the shit out of people, and it's like, dog, when you turn 30, that's when it's gonna be lit. Like me, I'm not lamenting turning 30 because I know I lived a good life and I'm still living. And really, I'm the most nonchalant person in the world. So if something happens, I'm just like, I saw it coming anyway. But like,
You say that because us millennials, we want to live in the moment, but it's
mm-hmm,
crazy. We have
we want it now.
I talked to so many individuals that are in their late 50s and early 60s, and they have like no money in retirement, and they think they have the whole world, or like they know they need to start planning, but they're starting to think like they can start planning like as if they were in their 20s. I'm like
Mm-hmm.
I want to save $50 per month. I'm like, sir, you need to save like $5,000 per month. You realize you are 61 right now. I'm like,
Yeah.
you have to, like, it's crazy how these generational mindsets, and we go back to the
Mm-hmm.
programming again, and
Yep.
that's how we know something is wrong. If I'm talking to so many individuals about retirement planning who are older, and their
Yeah.
mindset is, I still have time. No wonder we're screwed up as millennials,
Yeah.
because we have individuals who are like, oh, don't worry, just work hard, work hard. But the system is
Right.
not made on just working hard anymore. Like, I
Yeah.
can't
It's not.
I can't trade my body for
Right.
money right now. And I'm not, I don't mean the other way. I'm talking about just my time for money, right?
Yeah, you go and sell yourself
Okay.
on the corner.
Yeah, I'm not talking about selling anything on the corner. I told you I gave up the life. No, I'm joking. Nothing legal. Nothing illegal.
You better stop for your wife coming like, you heard you was talking shit.
No, I like to dance on the line. But anyway, what I was saying was that it's just crazy how these generational mind shifts. And then now we get a lot of us millennials, and I think we're starting something, because I mean, if you think about it, us millennials took this whole internet thing and just explode right with it. And I feel like now we're living in the moment, but at the same time, we're realizing that we don't need that flashy things. Like, our parents needed the flashy cars. The class came with the assets that you had, and we're realizing that that's not it. Like,
It's not.
I'd rather have my suit come from Goodwill than
man
$100,000 on there. I mean,
on an Armani, right? Like,
Armani.
Man, you going across Goodwill, you find that good tailor suit. I'll take that one. Do it fit?
Yep.
I'll take
$10 at Goodwill, and I'll spend another $30-$40 till we get tailored.
Man,
I'll be good to go.
Man, you ain't never.
I got a couple of job interviews on the because of Goodwill suit.
Right. Exactly. Same. Yeah. Nah, it's, man, you ain't never lied there, and that's how it starts.
Yeah. This pandemic, if anything, has shown that America is nothing but a third world country with a Gucci belt.
Yes, with a Gucci belt. Yes.
We are flashy as ever, but you're talking about generational wealth, and I keep going back to this retirement because that's just what I know. But I just shared a post about there's 59% of Americans that are in their working age, right? So 18 to what, like, what's
my
retirement?
age?
18 to like 62 or whatever the, I guess, working age.
Yeah.
Has not a single dollar in retirement.
Tragic.
59%. And I'm thinking about that. And then if they don't have anything for retirement, imagine if they have emergency savings. So no wonder in this pandemic, so many people that went unemployed, they're like going crazy with this.
Fighting for toilet paper.
Yeah, fighting for toilet paper and stuff, because this might be the last one that they have. Or the stimulus check. They're like, I'm waiting for the stimulus check. I'm like, you realize that's only $1,200 for just, singles, but for families and whatever. Yeah, it might be a couple grand. But I mean, like, that's like a 1 month's worth of check. I'm like, what are you guys going to do? Like, I heard people buying new houses and cars because they were getting the unemployment plus the Corona kicker, the $600 extra a week.
Yeah.
More money than they were making than they were actually working. I'm like,
and I'm just like, how's this work? Am I doing it wrong? Do I need to be fired?
Someone fired me real quick so I can work
for
in my
real.
dreams.
It's like, let me spear my boss right fast. That'll get me out of there in a felony.
But yeah, it goes back to, like, we keep on circling it, but the mindset and trying to help our younger. I don't have any kids yet, but I know the next couple of years, it's coming. Right now, but it's coming, and so, like, I keep telling her, we need to be prepared because we want to break those generational curses. We want to set the foundation. Right. We can hit the restart button. Not forget what our parents did for us, because we wouldn't be here if our parents' hustle and everything wasn't there. Like, but we have all these experiences. What was that?
Yes, starting anew, like starting fresh. It doesn't have to be what your parents and what their parents did to struggle back in the day. It doesn't have to be. Yeah, this is a whole new level with a whole new set of rules that you can break. Kind of. This is all, like you said, money is the tool. Use the tool to break some of these generational, old, tired mementos that are sitting up in the basement collecting dust that no one's gonna buy. Break them because they might have money in it. You know what I'm saying? Like, take that and just go forward with it, because that's what I want to do. You know, when I have my family, whenever that happens, when I build my family, it's gonna be hella different. Like, when they grow up, they're not gonna know what a cell phone is. They're not gonna know what a tablet is. You're not gonna know what an Xbox is.
I never got
You
my first
starting off
smartphone
small.
until I was in college, until I bought one myself.
Exactly. This phone that I got this phone recently. I had a track phone my entire college career, and before
Dude,
that, I had to use an iPod.
I had a flip phone all the way until I was in college, and it wasn't until AT&T had that deal with the $50 for the iPhone 3S. $50.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah, no. In high school, I didn't even have a flip phone. I had a track phone. It was only like, but it was like when I was a senior. When I went to like college, I had that same little like Beats Pill ass track phone that could only call the
Are you recording this?
Yes.
All right, hold on 1 second. Well, while we're talking about this, I know we're on podcast, but I'm telling you, whoever's listening, hopefully they can. I don't know. You share this to YouTube as well?
Yes.
Okay.
It's going up on YouTube.
Okay. So then they're actually going to see this documented. Give me 1 second. I'm going to show you this. It's going to blow.
Oh no, not. I think you're gonna. Don't pull out the Nokia. Don't pull out the Nokia. Oh no. Oh no. I'm afraid. I'm scared.
All right, I'm back.
I'm afraid.
All right. So I didn't get the Nokia, but
Oh, you did have one.
I did have one, and I had the Razor.
Oh man, that Razor, that was all everybody used.
So we're gonna go back in time.
Oh yeah, my mom had one of those.
One of these ones,
Yep.
right?
Oh man, with the touch screen on the front.
It's not even touchscreen. It's just shiny.
It's
just shiny. Yeah, no.
Man.
This T9. Yeah, right. Then we evolve to the Rumor.
Oh my god! I remember that.
Where you get text underneath the table.
Yep, I remember that.
And this was it. If you had one of these,
you was legit. You had serious A business.
This was good.
Oh man.
I told you that this is my first smartphone, iPhone 3S.
Oh my god!
Look how thick that thing is.
Good lord! It looks like an actual iPod.
Yeah.
Oh
iPhone
my
3S.
god!
Then 4. So it's got the broken case on it still.
Oh man, I remember when those were hot too. Man.
And then I switched from iPhone and started going to Android. This was the 3D stereoscope. It was like one of the first. It was like when the phones tried to do like a 3D image.
Yeah.
So I broke the screen this one. But yeah, this was like a 3D. And then ever since then, always been Galaxy. So now I got a Galaxy Note. But yeah, that was like from the late 90s to now.
And you know what's funny? Like that's why I say like my kids, they're not gonna know what a smartphone is. I'm gonna do it how you do in the RPG. You gotta level up. You gotta earn it. You gotta earn it. Daddy, what's that? Don't worry about it. You'll learn it when you're older.
Like,
Why does
when
that
you're young, all
controller
you
look like that?
all you need is a button that calls me, and I call you. That's all you need.
Exactly. You may get a life alert for all I know, but you ain't getting
Right?
no phone. You
I
ain't
just need a
getting no
GPS
tablet.
signal. You don't even need to talk.
Exactly. Right. You don't need. Matter of fact, I'm gonna teach you how to make smoke signals. like I'm gonna teach them. I'm gonna teach them how to they're not gonna know what a smartphone is, a tablet, none of that. Not until they're old enough to understand the value behind the technology and how much this shit costs. Cause you're not finna just be puking on the screen and then I gotta clean it up and then it gets in there that's damaged. Nah, we're not doing that. When you actually are able to understand your own motor skills and understand your responsibilities, nah, and
Right.
and and that goes for game systems too. You're gonna start off with a Super Nintendo.
Sega Genesis.
What to say exactly? Super Nintendo and a Sega Genesis. Then you're gonna go up from there. Then I'm gonna get you an original Xbox. And
What's
then a
crazy, by that
PlayStation.
time, they may cost more than whatever the games are at that time.
That's right. They can use mine because I'll still have mine by then.
and and with the digital break in there, so you have like all 5,000 games.
All that. So, Daddy, can we have our own? Nope. You can use mine. You just have a different account, and I will. That's how we'll do it. I'm not gonna spend $1,000 for a new set just for both of you. Shit, yeah, I
Y'all crazy.
and in the middle of that, I'm also gonna instill into them the value like with money, that money is a tool. Money is not everything, but it's a pretty damn good tool. Even if I got a shoe, I'm like, hey, guess what? You're gonna run a lemonade stand for the summer. Even if I have to do the old school ways of like how they had, like
Yeah.
doing chores, lemonade stands, whatever, because growing up, I didn't have that instilled in me because everything that I breathed on was given to me. Being an only child and being spoiled on top of that.
Yeah, I'm
Because I had a
jealous.
mother that
I
could,
was the only
yeah,
child for 4 years.
man, I was an only child for like 20 something years. And then I had to share the spotlight with my grandmother and my uncles for nephew and grandson duty because my other uncle had a kid and we're 20 years apart. And so now instead of trying to strive for attention, I gotta fight for attention now. Not really, but But
Yeah, trying to keep
but
that
yeah,
baby
like
status.
basically, uh, but like teaching them that because I didn't have that instilled in me. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm not saying like that's mom didn't do this or whatever to teach me.
No, she
Why
gave
didn't
you
she
the
teach me that?
best. She gave you
Yeah,
everything
she.
she didn't
Yeah,
have.
exactly. I just want to. I'm still going to give my kids the world. It's just that I'm going to give you the world, but I'm going to teach you how you can get it your own. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? Like that's
Gotta
that's
multiply.
the that's
Be
what you
better
got to
than
do.
me.
Exactly. Be better than me. Surpass your senpai. Damn it.
Exactly. Because
And that's where it
if I
comes.
could check you and I'm 80 years old and you're 30, then that's
We have a problem. Put me
I
in the
have failed.
home.
I failed. Yeah, no,
Exactly.
that reminds me of my grandmother. She was a single mother and father,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Of eight kids,
Mm-hmm.
and
Oh
one of
my
them wasn't even her
God.
own.
Oof.
So when it came down to it, and I was one of her first, like her oldest grandchildren, I guess she said. Well, I'm not the oldest grandchildren. I'm the baby when it comes to the grandkids.
Right,
But
right,
I was the first one to get a college degree, and she came
right.
to my graduation, and you see this 78, 80-year-old lady just dancing away, like she's dancing, and
Yeah.
I've never seen my grandmother dance like that before. I'm like, she got a rock, her walker and everything. She's dancing. I'm like, why is this lady dancing? Whatever. It was cute at the moment, posting on Facebook, just videotaping her. Go, grandma, you dancing. Good job. You
Right,
must have had
right.
something in the Kool-Aid that we didn't know about, right? Because she's that type of lady. She used to be a bartender. So
There it
anyway,
is.
4 to 5 years later, after that video, she's passed away now. But I'm watching it. I'm looking as it pops up on my feed. I look at it. I'm like, man, I'm thinking about it now. Now that my mind is being, reconditioned, I'm like,
Mhm.
she was dancing because she was not being goofy or anything. She was celebrating one of the generational curses was just broken.
Right in front of her. Wow.
And she was celebrating. And she didn't really tell anyone that, but I could see it. Like when you see someone,
When you see
in their
it,
eyes.
when you see it now, it's like, and you know so much, it's like it clicks. Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow.
It was out of nature for her at that moment because she'd always be grandmother. But then when she did that, it's like she was proud, right?
Yep.
And man, I started bawling when I just made that realization. I was like, I can't. I know that she busted her butt because she was a single mother, single father,
and she wanted to see you graduate.
Exactly.
And now
She made
saw
it through.
Yep.
She saw that and she still loved. And I felt ashamed at that moment because I was going through some things at the time when I saw it. I was mentally, and I was like, I was questioning my work ethic. Why am I working so hard? Yeah. Should I be enjoying myself right now? Should I, like, I've already went to school. I have my degree. Should I be enjoying myself? But then I realized how much work she was doing and how much she did. I was like, I still have not reached that.
Right.
So I shouldn't relax. I shouldn't be comfortable because I have to live up to her legacy. If I haven't done the work that she's done yet, I have no moral authority to tell my kids or their kids what to do because she did way more than I did. Now, wow.
Yeah. Wow. Yep. And that's and now that you said, it makes sense because that's what I want to do. Now it's like, why? What other purpose do I have aside from saying that I am like placing the oath in my spirit that I'm going to get there and provide for the family so that my mom can relax. And now that you put that into perspective, that makes sense. I'm glad that we've had this conversation because it makes sense now. It's like I want to surpass, and I got a lot of surpass. I have to surpass my mom, my uncle who works for the I think it's district attorney office. It's an IT person. Okay. In Hammond. Him, my other uncle who's also worked. He's an artist. I don't think I'll ever be able to surpass his artistry skills, but I can try. My grandmother, who was a seamstress for several years, who's past retired but still sews on the side because that's how good she is. People still go to her when they need like a dress or something done, and they pay handsomely. That's crazy. And that's crazy. That's how you've left behind some good work. You know what I'm saying? And like, same with my mom. My mom, aside from her working the jobs that she's worked, including now, because she works in health insurance right now, she's still a hustler. Back when I think she was working in banking, she would sell church hats to first ladies because my family knows a lot of first ladies within the region. Or at least within Gary and East Chicago and
Shoot, she should come down here to Georgia. There's a lot of first ladies here.
Oh yeah, but hopefully faithful ones too, because man, but they knew our family because we have church background in our family, and because of that, my mom decided to take that and take that as an advantage, up against those people and be like, hey, I get these Jack McConnells in and whatever from catalogs. I can sell. I have inventory. I can sell this, and profit off of it. To which I was just the lowly stock boy, but I got paid in Yu-Gi-Oh cards, so I was fine. I didn't care. So we would make house calls and all that type of stuff. Yeah, like I would make. We would make house calls. I remember going like Gary at night. To certain church ladies' houses to try on hats, suits, and jewelry and stuff like that.
I want to interrupt for a second, and not interrupt to break off, but interrupt to almost encapsulate for a second. Those skills that your mom just taught you, like that is part of that reprogramming. Like I said earlier, when I said you're a rare breed, because the things that you've been taught or exposed to is not what a lot of people have been exposed to or even realize. That you said house calls. Like we don't know that work ethic of let's make house calls.
Mm-hmm.
I understood it, but I didn't really understand it until I got into life insurance and really got into the financial industry. I make virtual house calls now, right?
Yeah, right.
But the thing is that drive, that push, and it's like, hey, I mean, push the envelope. I mean, teach you that's entrepreneurship skills. That's
Mm-hmm.
was the American dream. The fact that if you have a skill or a value to give back to the community, you did it, and you were able to be compensated for it just because that was something you had a skill for. People saw. You
Right.
got to find what your skills are and stop worrying about the money. Find out what your skills are and your passions and things like that, and what you connect with, so that you can then the money comes easy. Then, like, when I think of what I do now, yeah, I'm an engineer. Yeah, I do this. People are like, oh, you just chasing money. Yeah, I made a comma check last month on my part-time gig, but I didn't even realize I was making that until it came into the account, and I'm like, okay, it's because I was helping someone. I helped someone save their retirement that was going into the crapper because of the pandemic. And you helped them. And I'm like, okay, next person. Do you know someone I can help? Who can we help? I'm a helper. I like to help people, right? I want to be an example.
Same.
Your thing is, you want to give back to your communities too. You want to help. You want to be a valuable example. It makes, want to be an influence, a positive influence, right?
Right.
You got to find what you're good at, and then what you're passionate about, and the money comes. And then now, if you know the rules of the money game, if you know how to use that tool, when that money comes, you're like, okay, I'm going to apply it here. I'm going to apply it here, or whatever it may be. We're not taught that way.
We're not.
It's a battle to the next dollar.
Right. But we can be.
Yeah.
And there's the hope. We can be. Another prime example. Friend of mine who I recently became friends with this year before Aunt Rona came. Damn you, Aunt Rona. Her name is Kathleen Laporte. She's part of a organization called Athletes for Charity. I met her actually out in the field. I was doing. We were sent out to Carrigosh Early Learning Center on Indianapolis Boulevard. Wait, no, it's not this. Yeah, it's on the corner of Indianapolis Boulevard and Railroad. I went there, filmed, did my thing, and I was going to. I had to get her. We do interviews, or like we get them to go in front of the camera, say a couple statements, a couple words on behalf of the event that they're doing. So I was like, so I filmed her, and then she was like, so when are you gonna get in front of the camera? I'm like, ma'am, what? Man, I just work here. She's so like it was something, and like this is how good God is. Like me and her have been talking back and forth constantly. I don't know what it was that possessed her to say it, but we exchanged email contacts. We started talking, and she actually wanted me to be somewhat of a mentor for like some of the programs that she has via whether it be via Zoom or at the library. This was before the coronavirus got worse. So they had to be done via Zoom, but they were going to be at the libraries that where because I live close to one of the libraries in my city. After that, she needed a flyer done, like some sort of flyer done for one of the things part of her organization, and she reached out to me because she knows me, and she's like my big sister now. And so she bugs me on occasion. So she asked me, she was like, how does this look? I'm like, it looks okay, just a little basic, but it looks okay. She's like, could you fix it for me? I'm like, God dang it, I knew you was gonna do this.
That's what you no, it looks perfect.
Cause I was in the middle of like, okay, I've got to finish this editing for my YouTube channel. Then I got to get this D&D game set up because I'm about to run this on Wednesdays. And now I have a flyer that's going to take up the rest of my time. Thank you. So I did the flyer, and she loved it. And she now she wants me to like do any other sort of flyer job, or whatever. She pays me. But she doesn't pay me in money. She pays me in Google Play gift cards, which is fine. It's money. I'll take it. because it's either between that or riot points or whatever addiction that I had for gaming or whatever. But that's a prime example of a skill set that you can apply as long as you have the passion and the drive for it. I have a passion for this type of stuff because spending 6 years in college in front of a in front of a computer screen, coding JavaScript and HTML till
Does not excite you.
till your eyes bleed and you almost crack because of insanity issues. It's not fun. But because I did it for so long, I adopted attention to detail, and then also working in multimedia, we make flyers and stuff too. Well, I don't, because my boss likes to dampen my put a damper on some of my abilities, even though I know I'm pretty good. You didn't hear this. Anyway, so when I went into it, I'm like, I don't know if I could do this. So I'm like, I have to try. This is for her. So when I did it, it came out looking better than I thought. And I was like, okay, this goes here. And I just started following the guidelines behind what normally our flyers look like. So I was like, okay, here. She loved it. And then she's like, I can pay you. Then she pays me $50 in Google Play. I'm like, sold. Thank you. And that's what I mean. Like, as long as that's what you were saying. Like, as long as you have a passion for it. Like, I have a passion for that. I have a passion in technology, like IT stuff. Even though I'm like the normal guy who like does IT when they when they have IT issues. Oh, hey, could you could you handle this? Damn it, did you
You're
turn it
like,
off and turn it back on? Yeah, like I'm that person. And please don't get me started when my family has an IT problem. I'm just like, why is the printer not
I'm not even
working?
in IT, and I get that same thing just because I was an engineer. You can fix this,
Mm-hmm.
right? You're like, it's a TV. How am I supposed to fix it? Oh, you're an engineer. I'm a mechanical engineer. You got an engine?
Ma'am, damn it. And he just look at him, it's like, how did you do this? Why is your screen dark? What did you do? And it's crazy because I look at the computer, I'm like, what did they do to you? Oh my god. Okay. So yeah, like that. I have a passion for all that type of things, and I'm glad you brought that up, because that's the general thing behind it. You have to have a passion. You have to want to learn, how do you break these generational curses beyond with generational wealth? How do you do this? How do you invest? You have to hunger for it, not be overly hungry for it. Like, oh, I gotta, not like a crack addiction, but you gotta want to know it. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't want to know it, you're just gonna be stuck. And I'm not saying it's bad to be stuck. Some people like being stuck, but
Right.
it's a slow and steady pace
Misery
for
loves
the other
company.
people. Yeah, and it's a slow and steady pace for the people that actually want to learn. And I guess that's where I'm at, because I can't tell you how many times where I'll be taking steps and like, I need a minute, and I had to take a breather. I had to take a breather. But yeah, we're so I guess on that note, we're nearing like the hour mark. Is there anything that you would like to say to wrap this this podcast up? Because I feel like we covered a lot.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely covered enough for the other people who aren't here.
Yeah, the other people.
No, I
Looking
think
at
this
you,
was really
Smitty.
good. I think this was really good. I liked it. I liked the format here, how we just kind of went wherever, but still talking
Mm-hmm.
about some good, solid topics. And I think people just need to have conversation, because people, we don't talk about money, we don't talk about
Yep.
religion, and we don't
Yep.
talk about politics. But yet, those are the
Mm-hmm.
things that run this world for the most part, right?
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
having just open conversations about it, and being jokingly, yeah, we threw some racial things in there, but it wasn't like hate racial. It's just
Yeah. No,
calling
it
for
was
what it is.
facts. Yeah, it was
Calling for what
facts.
it is and our experiences. Now,
Yeah.
all of it true in all situations? No. But
No.
for the most part, just talking it out and understanding points, because maybe something that I experienced is something you haven't, and vice versa. And that's where we all need to start, is just openly talking and being okay
Mm-hmm.
with, even we agreed on a lot of things, even if we disagreed on some things. Uh,
Right.
so I really enjoyed this. definitely love to come back, and especially when there's other people to kind of be a sounding board. I know we
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
jumped in some areas, but you tell me. I'll be ready with some facts. I'm a technical person, so if you guys need some literacy information, I'm all for it.
Hey,
Just want to be able to help in any way I can.
yeah. Well, Daniel, I want to say thank you. That this was great, even though it was just the two of us. This was great, and I'm sure the rest of the Black Minds Matter group would love to hear from you. Shame we couldn't get you and Pat in the same room, but hey, that's always the next go around. We normally, or I would normally like to strive for us to do it every second and fourth Monday of the month, because those are the same days that I have council meetings. But however, I do sometimes the council meetings don't last that long, so when I come in, it gives me time to prepare the meeting, and we come in around 8. That's why I say like 8-ish. Although today was completely just off the books, but yeah, I'd love to have you back. I'm pretty sure everybody else would love to have you back because of all the information that you gave in this podcast. And man, yeah, this was powerful, and so I greatly appreciate it. And to those of you that are watching, if you'd like to know more about Mr. Daniel Rodriguez and what he does is entrepreneurship, you feel free to contact him on Facebook. That is his Facebook, Daniel Rodriguez, or look up his organization, PHP, People Helping People Agency, for more information, or contact him to get so he can get you started. With that being said, this has been the Black Minds Matter podcast. We'll see you next time.